Hey, what's up? This is Joshua, daily video blog, walking by the lovely Mississippi River today. It's a gorgeous day out, and we're going to continue this work series. And so I think in 2005, I moved from my job in a nonprofit art center where I basically had no budgets to working in-house at Target, where suddenly basically the sky was the limit, which was really a strange experience because at the nonprofit art center, if I wanted to fold something, I had to physically fold it myself. Like if I wanted to do some kind of tri-fold brochure, I was folding it myself, or I was like paying out of my own pocket, and I would go to Kinko's, or I would like abuse favors from friends that worked at Kinko's and whatnot. So I was really, everything that had to be, that I wanted to do that was special, I had to do it. I had to find a way to do it and to make it happen. So I went to Target, and it was really different because like in reality, I didn't have to do anything besides essentially create a presentation deck and put the thing out into the world. Sorry, I just got distracted by this really beautiful gnarled broken tree. So I think one of the really big takeaways I took from Target was learning about how to bite off more than you can chew in a realistic fashion. So I remember, I think one of the first projects that I got there was we would design stuff for an internal store that sold like basically branded items to employees. And one of the first things like I came in on was a presentation from my coworkers showing first drafts of a golf line. So they were designing like golf clothing. And after they showed their stuff, they got some feedback, and the creative director said, "You're gonna do a round for this next one as well." And I literally had no idea how to do that. And I think like for a little bit of perspective, I talk a lot about using presentation decks as a tool for organizing your thoughts and for editing and for selling work. I had never shown a presentation deck for a project before. I don't think I did. I certainly never did at Intermediate Arts. And so one of the sort of lucky things is that I was looking at how these guys were doing their work, and they were using these sort of like presentation decks with like a certain aesthetic, and it kind of helped tie things together more. And I didn't know like what to do, and so I was like, all right, well, I guess I should go look at some golf clothes, because like the direction my creative director gave us is typically he'd just give you a project and you had to figure it out. And he was like, well, go to Macy's and look at golf clothes, like look at Nike and whatnot, like what does that stuff look like? So you walk over to Macy's, you look at some stuff, you take a couple pictures, try to like understand it. And I think one of the things I kind of figured out from that was you set up a presentation deck, you put in all of the stuff that you're gonna be working with, like all these different silhouettes and whatnot, and then you come up with a design motif and you just flow it from one thing to the next. And eventually I discovered that's how you get everything done. At one point I did a proposal to brand all the gondolas at a ski resort. And it's like, on the one hand, that is a daunting, crazy project. On the other hand, you make a presentation deck, you put a pattern in it, you put option one, you show the pattern, you show them a gondola, and then you mock it up. And like all of a sudden there's an idea. I think another one that worked like the same way was to do a takeover on New Year's Eve of every screen and billboard in Times Square where the ball would drop. And again, it's like one of those things like, oh, that sounds like a massive, scary, gnarly project. But in reality, it's a photograph of Times Square, and then you just Photoshop stuff on top of it. And that doing those kind of projects really helped get me out of the very small view of design and how to do it that I had up to then. Before then, everything I did was realistic budgets, realistic print methods, very labor intensive. And then once I was at Target, all of a sudden I realized, like, if you have an idea and you have money, you're going to be able to make it happen. And it helped me learn how to think in a much bigger scope and how to do things much quicker, because all of a sudden it was like, if you wanted to do that project, you just needed the time to come up with the idea and design the presentation. You didn't need the time to actually make the thing, which was kind of amazing. So that's probably one of the longest lasting lessons I pulled from Target. Shortly thereafter, I pitched a bunch of book ideas to different publishers in, I think, 2008. And I was sort of so maybe changed by the Target experience that when they asked me how long it would take to do the book New Skateboard Graphics, I was like, I don't know, 2 months. Because that's like how my head now viewed things, which was, I think they laughed and said, we'll give you 4. But that was really helpful for figuring out how to do big, audacious projects, and how to get over the need to be qualified to do them. Because I wasn't qualified to do that. Like, there are actual textile designers and clothing designers. I am not one of them. There are actual interactive branding experts. I am not one of them. And working in that environment quickly taught me that most stuff is not made by an expert. It's made by the person in the room who is closest to a computer, basically. All right, thanks a lot for watching.